shouldn't be here. Next machine is the miter saw. There are basically 3 types of miter saws. You have your traditional miter saw chop saw, which would cut straight down. You can turn it at an angle, you can cut miter, and that's pretty much what they do. You have your compound miter saw, which this is a compound miter saw. Not only can we cut an angle this way, but we could also lay this at an angle that way. Cutting 2 angles at one time, that would be a compound miter. And then we have a sliding compound miter saw. Does the same thing this does, but it slides. That one is over there. We will go over to that one and I'll demonstrate that one when we're done with this one. Going through our study guide, number 1 says make sure all guards are in place and operating correctly. So this is your guard. It's right in front of your face. It's your protection. You would not want to use a miter saw without a guard with that blade spinning right there. The guard pivots up as this comes down. So you want to make sure the guard's in place. Number 2 is always wear eye protection. So we always wear our safety glasses when we're working in the shop. Number 3, be sure the blade is at a dead stop before you reach in, make any adjustments, anything like that. So if I turn this on, you can see that it stops fairly quickly. So be patient, let it stop before you reach in, start making adjustments. Hold the work firmly to the table and the fence. Okay, this is your table, this is your fence. You don't cut this out like this, you always push it back tight to the fence and hold it firmly while you make a cut. The next one is when using a sliding miter saw, pull the saw out, cut down, and then push back towards the fence. I will demonstrate that over on that miter saw in just a minute. The shortest board that you should cut on a miter saw is 5 inches. What that means is we still have our 4-inch rule. We got to keep our fingers 4 inches away so you can hold on to the last inch and cut something at 5 inches. If you want something smaller than 5 inches, just put it on the outside of the cut. Hold on to the long part, keeping your fingers 4 inches away, and the piece that you want would be out there. I'm going to demonstrate some stuff on the miter saw and setting up a fence and using some different things here. So first of all, this has a light on it. The light isn't so much to help you see better, even though that does, but it's to help line up where the blade is so you can see the shadow that it puts down on the wood there to help you line up. I'm going to demonstrate a few cuts on the miter saw. First of all, let's say we just want to cut something to length. You could take your tape measure and let's say we want to cut something 15 inches. So I'm going to put a mark at 15 inches. When you line that up, you don't want to cut the mark off, you don't want to leave the mark, you want to split the mark. And it takes practice. Use that shadow to get close. You can always start a little long and then work your way to it. Right there, I'm still a hair long. I can scoot it over just a little bit. And that's almost where I want to be. That's pretty close. I want to move it just a little bit. Split that line. Okay? Now, another thing we could do is if we're mitering something, you know, mitering, you can do a 45, I could turn it this way, line it up with that corner. That would be a miter. Okay, so let's say we want to cut something 12 inches. You can use this stop here. Slide this over, put that line right on 12, lock it down. The distance from the blade to the stop is 12 inches. You want to use a stop whenever you're cutting multiple pieces the same length, so they're all exactly the same. So to do that, you first want to square the end. Remember, squaring is just taking a little bit off so you have a good edge to start, and then push it up against your stop. Make a cut. You have a 12-inch piece. If you're doing multiple ones, you could just keep pushing them up, cutting them all the same. All our scrap pieces go in the bin. Now, this stop only goes to about 7 inches. So let's say we want to cut something 5 inches. How do we do that with a stop? Well, we could set this at 15 inches. Then we have this little 10-inch spacer here. So 15 minus 10 is 5. We put this up against that. Cut one. Cut So now we have two pieces exactly the same length at 5 inches. So that is the compound miter saw, a manual stop, and using a 10-inch spacer. Now we'll go over and film a couple things with the sliding compound miter saw. This is our sliding compound miter saw, very similar to the other miter saw, except this slides out. What that does, it allows you to cut wider pieces. Other than that, it's pretty much the same, except the way you cut with this. If you're cutting something small, just like the other one, put it on here, cut straight down, okay? But if you're cutting something wide, to where if you cut straight down, it's not gonna cut the whole board, then what you do is you don't cut down and pull towards you, because you're pulling the board away from the fence, but it's going to want to kick back towards the fence. So what you do is you pull this out, you cut down, and then you cut going back towards the fence. So that's how you would cut on a sliding compound miter saw. So while we're here with the sliding compound miter saw, I'll show you this automatic stop here. It's called a Tiger stop. So if I want something 12 inches, I could plug the 12-inch start. This will automatically move to 12 inches. And then I could take my piece of wood, cut it. If I want something 52 inches, it'll go to 52 inches, okay? And it doesn't have to be just whole numbers. We can do fractions, and we have the conversion up here with decimals. So let's say I want something 14 and 9/16. I could do 14.5625, start. And that'll move to 14.5625, which is 9/16. I could also, let's say 12 and 9/16. I could do 12 inches and 9/16 for the 9/16, and it'll move. So that's our automatic stop. This is only used by my juniors and seniors. What you really need to do, learn how to put a mark and hit your mark. Learn how to set up a manual stop. Those things you'll do a lot more in life than one of these. This is $3,000. Not everybody's going to have one of these at home to work with. This is more production, which what you'd find in a cabinet shop. So juniors and seniors can use this. Freshmen, sophomores, they have to learn to hit their lines, learn to set the manual stop. They can still use this machine, but we move this up out of the way, and they use the tape measure and pencil.